Hello everyone, welcome back to Chenda DIY, and today's video I'll be showing you how to crochet a phone bag. It is really easy pattern and friendly for beginners. Okay, now let's get into the video. First thing first, we are going to make the back base. To begin, make a slip knot. And make the foundation chains by multiple of 2, then plus 1. For this bag, I made 21 chains. If you guys want your bag more bigger, you can add more chains by multiple of 2, then plus 1. Next, we are going to make single crochet. For row 1, skip 1 chain and make single crochet into the next chain. To make single crochet, insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 2 loops. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first single crochet stitch. Keep making single crochet into every chain until the end of the row, then I will meet you back again. After you reach the end of the row, next we are going to make increase by make 4 single crochet into this last loop. And after you have made 4 single crochet in the same loop, next we are going to continue make single crochet into each stitch until you have one last stitch, then I will meet you back again. After you have one last stitch, next we are going to make increase by make 4 single crochet in the same loop. After you got 4 single crochet in the same loop, next we are going to make slip stitch into the stitch that we mark. To make slip stitch, continue insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and push through all the loops. You must have 46 stitches in total. For row 2 until row 6, chain 1. For chain 1, we don't count as a stitch and make single crochet into each stitch around until the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first single crochet stitch. After you reach the end of the row, for the small loop, we don't count it as a stitch, so don't make single crochet into it. Just skip it and continue make slip stitch into the stitch that we mark. For the next row, you just keep repeating row 2 by chain 1 and make single crochet into each stitch around and then make slip stitch. Remember, you always count the number of the stitches in every row to make sure you don't miss some stitch or got over stitches. Like I said, for the small loop that needs chain 1, we don't count as a stitch, so you have to skip it and make slip stitch into the stitch that you mark. And this is what the third row looks like. Here is a tip to make the slip stitch part look straight. It's just the same thing like the previous row, you just chain 1, but you have to skip the first stitch that needs chain 1 and start making single crochet into the next stitch. And if you skip the first stitch that needs chain 1, at the end of the row, you have to make single crochet at this small loop that needs chain 1, so you don't miss one stitch. And if you don't skip this first stitch that needs chain 1, at the end of the row, you have to skip the small loop that needs chain 1, so you don't got over stitches. For the next row, I will skip this first stitch and start making single crochet from the next stitch to keep my slip stitch seams to look straight, because the slip stitch part will be the back part of your bag. So you don't get confused, it's just a tip for you to make the slip stitch part look straight. And for the next row, you just repeat this tip until you reach row 6, then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach row 6. As you can see, my slip stitch seam is stay straight, it's not curved or go around. And next, we are going to make the cross double crochet stitches. To begin, for row 7, chain 3. For chain 3, we doesn't count as a stitch. Next, skip one stitch that needs chain 3. Then make double crochet into the next stitch. To make double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop. And now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. After you have made a double crochet, next we are going to make double crochet across into the stitch that we have skipped. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at least first stitch that needs chain 3 stitch. It is where we are going to make slip stitch at the end of the row. And this is what the cross double crochet stitch looks like. Next, we are going to continue make cross double crochet stitch by repeat like the first one, skip one stitch and make double crochet into the next stitch. After you have made a double crochet, then make double crochet into the stitch that we have skipped. Keep making cross double crochet into each stitch around until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. After you reach the end of the row, like I said, for the small loop that needs chain 3 or chain 1, we don't count as a stitch, so you just continue make slip stitch into the stitch that you mark. And this is what the cross double crochet row looks like. This is the back part of the phone bag. When you flip it, and you can see the front part of the bag. Next, for row 8, chain 1. Like I said, chain 1 we don't count as a stitch. Then continue make single crochet into each stitch around until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. After you reach the end of the row, then we are going to make slip stitch into the stitch that we mark. And this is what it looks like after you reach the end of the row. For the next row, please keep repeating row 7 and row 8. It means that you have to make one row with cross double crochet stitch and one row with normal single crochet stitch. Keep repeating this until you reach row 23. Then I will meet you back again. If you guys want your phone back more longer, you can add more rows by repeat row 7 and row 8. And this is what it looks like after you reach row 23. And after you reach row 23, next for row 24 until row 26, you just chain 1 and make single crochet into each stitch around, then make slip stitch. As you can see, when we make cross double crochet stitch and single crochet stitch around, the slip stitch part is not go straight, and if you keep continue do this, the slip stitch part will curve around to the front part of the bag, and we don't want it to look like this. The tip to make it look straight is the same thing like we did at the bottom part of the bag, which is the single crochet part. When you make the single crochet row, you have to repeat the tip that we make at the bottom of the bag. The tip is you have to skip the first stitch that near chain 1 and continue single crochet around until you reach the end of the row, and you don't have to skip the small loop that near chain 1. Remember, you only repeat this tip at the single crochet rows. Next, we are going to make the buttonhole. To begin, continue from where your last stitch is. For row 27, chain 1 and make single crochet into the next 7 stitches, or you can make single crochet until you reach the middle part of your bag. Flip your bag to the front part. And count 5 stitches of cross double crochet. And the 6th stitch is the middle part. For the other side, you can count 5 stitches the same to make sure that both parts are even. If you guys have different sides, you can make more single crochet stitch until you reach the middle part of your bag. after you reach the middle part of the bag. Next, we are going to continue make 14 chains. After you got 14 chains, then continue make single crochet into each stitch around until you reach the end of the row, then make slip stitch. After you have made slip stitch, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And now we are done for the bag, and this is what it looks like. Next, we are going to make the tassels. To begin, wrap the yarn around your hand 6 times. If you guys want your tassel more longer, you can cut the cardboard to the length that you want and wrap the yarn around the cardboard. And if you want the tassel more thicker, you can wrap many times as you want. Next, cut off the yarn. And now we are done for the tassels. Next, we are going to make the button. To begin, make a magic circle or magic ring. Next, for row 1, chain 1. For chain 1, we don't count as a stitch. Then make 10 single crochet into the circle. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first single crochet stitch. After you got 10 single crochets, then pull the short string to close the circle, but not really close. You have to leave some small hole. It is easy to insert the hook. Next, we are going to continue make slip stitch into the stitch that we mark. After you have made a slip stitch, next for row 2, chain 1. Like I said, for chain 1 we don't count as a stitch. And then make 15 single crochets into the circle. You have to pull the yarn a little bit longer to make it fit the first row. Use stitch marker to mark at this first single crochet stitch. It is where we are going to make slip stitch at the end of the row. After you got 15 stitches, then make slip stitch into the stitch that you mark. Chain 1 and leave a long tail of yarn, then cut it off. And next, we are going to use the knit needle to weave in the yarn into each stitch around. Next, we are going to make the strap for the bag. To begin, attach the yarn into the corner part of the bag. You have to leave 3 stitches at the corner and attach the yarn into the 4th stitch. Remember, you start attach the yarn into the front part of the bag. And then make 200 chains. If you guys want your strap more longer, you can add more chains. Make sure that your foundation chains is the even number. After you got 200 chains, you have to check it again to make sure that your foundation chains doesn't twist. And then we are going to continue make slip stitch into the other side corner. We are going to attach into the front part of the bag the same and leave 3 stitches at the corner. After you have made a slip stitch, and then continue make slip stitch into the next 3 stitches. And now you must have 4 stitches of slip stitch. And next, for row 1, chain 1, then we are going to make half double crochet 3 together in the same loop. To make half double crochet 3 together, yarn over, insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and insert the hook into the same loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over again and insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop. And after you have insert the hook for 3 times, then yarn over and pull through all the loops. And next, we are going to make slip stitch into the next chain. After you have made a slip stitch, then chain 1, skip 1 chain, and we are going to repeat the same thing by make half double crochet 3 together in the same loop. And after you have made half double crochet 3 together, then make slip stitch into the next chain. Then chain 1, skip 1 chain, and make half double crochet 3 together into the next stitch. Keep repeating this until you reach the end of the row, then I will meet you back again. After you reach the end of the row, Then count 2 stitches and make slip stitch into the 3rd stitch. Next, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. For the remaining yarn, please use the knit needle to weave in. And now the phone bag is done. If you like this tutorial, please don't forget to click like and leave a positive comment down below. Stay safe and stay healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.